All right. Hey guys, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So, when I have people on the podcast, I usually ask them this question when it's their first time on. So, I usually ask people, what is one aspect of God's character that has been most evident in your life?
Mm.
Hmm. For you talking about individually?
Yeah.
For me, I'd say patience. Um, yeah, I'd say that like the waiting game seems, it's very unfortunate and inconvenient to wait, um, and not only wait but wait well. And I think
Yeah.
that I've been definitely feeling the patience aspect of everything because I'm kind of like, why should I have to wait? Um, so yeah.
I was
That's very
thinking you were
human.
asking me. Sorry,
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm good.
I was thinking you were asking the question as what character of God is being displayed from him to us. Is that how you were asking it? Or is it
That
what
yeah, that,
characteristic?
that was how it was.
Well, for me, I feel like I am experiencing his omnipresence, and the fact that he is present in all the things, even when I think that like I'm controlling something or I have a say so on maybe it's his omniscience or maybe it's just a combination of the both. But it's like, I don't know. I just kind of am being more and more affirmed at his hand in my life and the circumstances that are making it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. No one's actually said that before. So that's really good. Did you want to change your answer, Glenn? Because she kind of,
Um,
or do you?
man, I still feel like it's the same. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
Okay.
I'm still waiting. Uh, you know, I think God is so like he's outside of time, so he's not necessarily concerned with our schedule, right?
Yeah,
Um,
sadly.
and so at times when I'm feeling most like I need to get this done now, or I think, I need to rush, like it just all feels kind of worth like it doesn't matter, I'm reminded of that when I do have my moments of solitude and rest, like doing like breath work or breathing really deeply, you know what I'm saying? And just remembering that I am in this body, that I am in this life, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just doing work, which it feels like that's what I'm doing most of the time is working
Mm.
on something or working on myself or working on a relationship or working on a idea, but not actually experiencing it. And so
Hmm.
having patience in those seasons where, um, just having patience with him, in those seasons where I'm like, when I get this, I can then, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I always love when people answer those questions because it always comes out different for different people, which is wild because he's the same God for all of us, but we all experience him in different ways. It's kind of wild. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, thank you guys for answering that. All right, so tell the people a little about yourselves and the content you guys create.
On Beleaf, this is Yvette. We've been married 12
12
years.
years almost.
Live in
Oh, it's
California.
12. I thought it was 11. Wow.
Almost 12 years. So
August will
August,
be 12.
yeah, August 7th will be 12.
Okay.
So we have 4 children, have a dog, live in SoCal. We have a YouTube channel called Beleaf in Fatherhood, which documents the real life stories and authentic life of me as a father. And, in hopes that we would equip fathers to love and lead their families into eternity. And so the gist of it is that we didn't necessarily know anything about anything before getting married or before having kids. And we were like kind of assaulted with the truth. And we don't want other people to feel so assaulted, by reality.
I've never heard you say it like that.
Yeah, but it is very much true.
Very much so.
Like the truth is offensive, So we do that, and that transfers to TikTok, Instagram, and basically unlocking those real stories with beautiful cinematography from some of the people on the team, and then also music production, which is something I was heavily involved with a few years ago, and now there's a resurgence coming with that. But having like customization to art, and also bringing high art, high quality everything, right? So when we make clothes, we want it to feel the same way it feels when you listen to a song and a video. And Yvette and I have been doing that since 2015, October 19th. And and now we have a podcast coming back, How Married Are You? Which we were doing together. It's critically. Yes. Yeah. For those of you that have listened before, we had to take a break. It was very important that we did. And hopefully, as we come back, we have the systems in place now, I feel like, to support us. So I think it's going to be really great.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I definitely feel like you guys should tune in when they come back with that. I think I've seen every single episode or heard. I've heard and then seen. So I love everything you guys are doing, every single thing you guys are doing. So really glad to have you guys on the podcast. So I know you guys said you're going to be married 12 years in August, but how long have you been together in total?
13.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good minute. That's a long time.
August 13th, 2009. March 13th. March 13th.
Okay.
Whatever.
It's always funny when men get that wrong. All right. So what was it like for you guys growing up with like the sex talk? What was your like individual experience with that as children, and how do you feel like it's affected your marriage?
I feel like for me personally, there was no sex talk. There was no sex talk. I think the extent of it from my parents was keep your legs closed, wait until marriage. I grew up in the church, and so I feel like there wasn't much good conversations happening surrounding sex. And I do remember, I don't know if it was like my freshman year, I did get to go to like a sex ed class, or like, what is that class called?
Sex ed.
Is it sex ed? Mm-hmm. And I still don't even fully feel like that was adequate enough to prepare me for anything. So I had no conversations, like none.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration. I feel like some people think I'm exaggerating, but I
nothing.
Literally had no idea where things went when in the act of sex.
So until how long? Like, how long did that last?
Until my wedding.
Until after we were married.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you know what's crazy too is that when I was in middle school, I do have a distinct memory of, like a condom balloon situation happening, but still didn't really understand. Like someone, like a kid, like filled up a condom with like water or air or something. It had stuff in it, and then it was like a joke around the playground. And it like, they obviously got in trouble. But I remember that experience. I also remember, I can't say too much because I don't know who'll be listening, but I did have like a conversation with a certain friend about some things that I was like, huh. And then I remember coming to Glenn and telling him about it.
Oh, yeah.
Later. And then he's like, you know what that is? Did you tell me what it was?
I don't know what you're talking about. You just got to say it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't you say it?
Because I don't know who watches.
Yeah, but you don't say their name.
I know.
Okay, well, if she's uncomfortable,
Yeah, I just like people false identity.
Yeah.
Anywho, but like literally, I had no clue, and I feel like people never believe me when I say that, but I literally had no clue.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when we
That is
talked
very
about it,
rare.
yeah, we talked about it on Black Love, and everyone was like, "Are you serious? Really? She didn't know?" And I was like, "Really, guys? It was bad. It was really, 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 really tough."
And I think you're going to get to the dating aspect of our relationship, but yeah.
Well, you can go into it now.
Well, I feel like when we were dating.
So I'll talk about me a little bit. So
Okay,
I was told like, don't have sex, but if you do, use a condom. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like I had permission. I had permission to do it safely, but preferably it would be that I would not. But the expectation was very low. So yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of struggle with that too. Just being in this field, like you want Christians to be smart while they're being stupid, but you also shouldn't be being stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like hard. You don't want to advise them to do it safely because then they're going to be doing it even more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of hard to tote that line.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't know. I would say that during our dating experience, I think we tried hard to honor God's way.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much legalistic about just even like, man, let's not even kiss until our wedding day. Let's just take all the temptation away. Let's da da da. Yvette was like, no, I need to see if we have chemistry. Lifetime movies have taught me that you need to figure out if you have chemistry.
I did not say that. I may have said chemistry, but I never said anything about Lifetime movies.
Days of Our Lives, Beauty and the Beast, whatever.
It's Bold and the Beautiful.
Bold and the Beautiful.
I didn't even watch that. No. But even that aspect of our dating relationship, like Glenn had to help me understand that, hey, if you kiss me here, this triggers things in other places. Like it was something that I just really fully did not understand. And so my whatever about kissing, I was like, what's the big deal? And then didn't really know where that was taking him. Even
the temptation.
For sure. Yeah. And that's why I made sure to do an episode on that as well, because people need to know, you don't, the things that may not trigger you may trigger other people and vice versa. So, So what do you guys think attributed to like the progress of your sex life?
I think Glenn confided in a friend, and that friend confided in his wife, and that wife it reached out to me.
Yeah, it was like 6 years into our marriage, a long time. And it was just like, it was like something that we didn't talk about, and something that we did, but it was like robbery. Like it felt like it felt like it was a duty that I had, and not necessarily something that I experienced pleasure from, or that I even knew I was supposed to experience pleasure. And so a friend of ours sent me a book and some lubricant.
Do you want to share the book?
So I can share it, but it's not available because honestly, like I would buy it for people, but it's just, and then if you find it, they're trying to sell it to you for like $100 and some. But the book is called Orgasms.
It's not a Christian book.
And it's not a Christian book at all.
Okay.
It is just a book. I've actually found another one that I'm enjoying. I can tell you that one.
Okay.
That one's called Come As You Are.
Okay.
I forget the name of the author, but that one's really good. It's very science-based, but these books are not necessarily by Christian authors or anything like that. And so it's kind of one of those things where you have to chew the meat and spit out the bone. And you kind of have to just take it for the context of your own conviction and what convicts, like, I don't know. I feel like the Lord designed our bodies to experience pleasure. There would be no clitoris if he didn't want it to be, anyway.
You're completely correct. Exactly.
Is that too much? Sorry. But anywho, I just feel like so the book Morgasms is what actually like started it. And so she got me the book and I started reading it at night, like when we were sitting in bed together. And then I was like, let's just do a 7-day challenge where we have sex every day. And I think that was kind of the jump start of a healthier relationship as far as having conversations about sex and me understanding like my body and how it's supposed to experience pleasure. And yeah.
But it really was a responsibility Yvette took when she said, hey, like, I see where God is taking you and I don't want to do anything to hinder that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to study my own body and get to know myself so I can be more comfortable with you. Right. And that was something I was like, we couldn't talk about it. Like, it was like, we were not, if I brought it up, it was like, no, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, well, and I'd be praying to God, like, Lord, what the heck is this? What is this? You know what I'm saying?
Waiting this long.
Yeah. Because, yeah, it's just, it takes, and that's another level of like patience, what we were talking about before. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, how patient are you really, you know? And it, you know, allowed me to grow myself too, because I'm kind of like, man, I don't want to put her in a position for her to feel like she's doing something just for me. Like, I want her to enjoy this as well. And it was kind of like, it made it almost feel sinful. Like, it felt like sin. Like, it didn't feel, you know, in marriage. And it just was like everything against what I thought it was supposed to be. And so it was sad, but at the same time, it's like, I really didn't know what to do. So I'm very grateful for like good community and friends who can help bridge those gaps.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. Like, you're saying, oh, this book is great. This book is great. It's not by a Christian author. Why do we not have that? Like, Christians are having sex. So why do we not have that available to ourselves? Maybe I need to write a book. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing with this podcast. I need to just write a book.
Because I feel like shame it is. Like, once you start opening that books and say, well, look, yeah, some people are into this and so am I. That's like, you're into that. Meanwhile, everybody's doing it and they're into it too. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just that they don't have the freedom to say that stuff. And that's why we do like, you know, Beleaf in Fatherhood. So it's like, yo, this is what we are like behind closed doors. You can see that to give yourself, to take the weight off of yourself, to say, your house doesn't have to be clean every day. You don't got to cook every meal. It doesn't all have to be organic. They can have Jack in the Box a couple of days a week. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, live. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's really good. So do you feel like that's what it was for you, Yvette? Like, the shame, is that why you didn't want to have those conversations with him?
I don't know. I don't know if I would call it shame.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of I think I was more so embarrassed to like talk about it, not necessarily ashamed of anything per se. It's kind of one of those things where you have to be trained to have those types of conversations. I don't know. It was just something I wasn't familiar with. And so, and maybe there was an element of shame. I do think that for me, I was a virgin when we got married and Glenn was not. And so there was also that element of, how am I measuring up to these other people? When the truth of the matter is, I shouldn't even be trying to measure up to them. I should just be trying to enjoy my husband, but getting out of my head, like having conversations, I felt like it was going to reveal I'm not measuring up.
Okay.
And so I feel like that part of it was probably the most uncomfortable for me.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's probably why the Lord. So the thing that I'm always reminded when I have these conversations is like, the Lord creates things the way he does because he knows that's how they work the best. So if he waited, you wouldn't even be thinking about that, you know? And that's why we're supposed to be, you know, pure until we get married. Not to shame you, but I think that's another aspect that people don't think about before marriage.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I think culture plays a huge role in those decisions that we make, right?
For sure.
The standard was so low for me. Like it just didn't make sense. Like, why would I do that? Like, nobody else around me was like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And so understanding on this side is kind of like, I don't even shame people who do have sex before marriage, because I understand that it's a culture thing. It's not necessarily something that a standard that everyone has. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what I'm more irritated by is the lack of conversation that happens on the way to marriage. We celebrate this form, and then we abandon what happens afterwards, right? All they're trying to do is get us to the altar pure. And then once we get there, they don't tell us how to sustain purity, right? In the safe relationship. So I'm really against like the misinformation, the ignorance, and the like kind of like the like we uphold this like spirituality, but it's false. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, it's like religion. You know how people say it's a relationship or religion. Exactly. So
we uphold religion, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And that's why I created this podcast, because I'm like, no one's talking about this stuff. And I've even had friends who were in therapy after being married because she was told her whole life not to have sex. And then one night, this night, now you have to. Like, everyone's building up to you having sex after you were told not to, literally the day before, hours before. So she was in therapy trying to figure out, like, how do I not feel shame having sex now, because sex was connected to shame my whole life. So, yeah, that's a good point. So leading into that, this kind of question is, when do you guys feel like you'll start having the sex talk with your kids, or if you haven't already?
I think we should do it pretty soon. I think this summer. At least because you have the conversations but I don't even know how to conduct those conversations. You know what I'm saying? But I understand how.
Yeah, I think it just starts with like knowing their anatomy and like calling it what it is, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then
like that's something that we do
from there.
Yeah, we do that from the beginning. I understand how parents avoid that. I just don't know how they avoid it for so long. You know what I'm saying? But if there is a point where basically, if you don't talk to your kids, you're giving other people permission to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to you have to be the first introduction.
What is your take on that, Yvette?
I don't know about the sex talk, but I definitely agree with the anatomy talk. I do, you know, I don't want to put my children's business out there, but, you know, they are starting to experience some things that they're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Or this doesn't really make sense. What's this sensation? You know, whatever. And so, or they might even I think like whenever like two people kiss on TV, I feel like the boys get
It's just like in that moment. It's just like they just get weird.
I don't know if they're feeling anything. But I do know that as a young girl, I would see things on TV sometimes that would make my body feel a certain way. And at the time, I had no no language or way to communicate about that, or didn't even have anyone I felt safe going to and saying, hey, this is how I felt when I saw this. And so I think I think those are the types of conversations we could start to have. I don't know if we're ready for the sex talk in and of itself. I do think Glenn and I need to be reading up on some more literature as far as like how to conduct those conversations, or even just how to introduce the concept to a child. But best believe before they leave our house, they will have had the
No, not before they leave their house.
Before whatever.
I'm going to end up having a conversation before that, and I'm like, look, so you come home, this what happened. So they ask me.
That's usually how it happens.
I know, because the thing is, they're gonna ask a question, and we're gonna be in the corner. And so when we have conversations with the kids, it's just like, yeah, some people do that, or sometimes this happens. Yeah, and that's a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, so this is what's gonna happen one day. Your penis, right? We're not doing that, right? we're just like, No, yeah. So basically, that's how babies are made. You know, this goes here, and then
Yeah,
eventually a baby comes out. That's what I think. That's what I think. That's how I think it should go. And if they have more questions, just follow up. Because what's going to happen is if we make it this grandiose thing, like I feel like it's in their mind, it's going to seem way bigger than it is, right? And I
for
think
sure.
because Yvette, I'm not trying to shame you and make fun of you, but I'm going to say something.
Go ahead.
But now that Yvette is like these days comfortable having the conversation with me, right? It's like obviously it's not easy to have the conversation with the kids because she's still like, you know.
But at the same time, I am like eager to have the conversation with my children because I don't
Okay.
want my story to be their story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there are a lot of things I'll be like default to Glenn, especially when it comes to the boys. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
that's
Yeah, I
understandable.
don't want that.
I'd be like, this is what they said happened. I did the best I could. Can
Yvette,
you follow up?
Yvette will leave me out there to dry for sure.
No, I have your back all the time.
No,
But
just like the dog the other day. You didn't have my back.
babe, this is a whole thing.
So I think you guys already do a great job of just having conversations with them in such a nonchalant way. I think that's how everything should be. And like Glenn is saying, you let them know, and then later they'll have questions. Like they're not going to fully understand it. So like Glenn is saying, you kind of just lay it out there, and then they'll ask you stuff later. So the sex talk doesn't have to be like in depth, like me and you guys would have a conversation. Like it'll start a lot smaller with a child. So I know you guys will figure it out. The literature will help you.
I'm excited.
Well, maybe we'll write the literature.
I'm all right. Eventually, man.
And definitely let me know how that conversation goes because that's fun. So how do you guys feel like it is raising kids in like such a hypersexualized culture? Do you feel like it's different, or like you guys don't think about it often, or especially Christian children?
It's a little, I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I don't even know what aspect of hypersexualization you might be talking about. But
it could be literally because go ahead.
I was just saying I feel like there's so many facets of that I could address.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the thing though. Like there's so many things. So like how do you guys navigate that, or what have you seen that's been like, oh snap, we need to have a conversation soon, or something where it's like, oh, we're good, we can wait some more?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that like our children are growing up in a hypersexualized culture because it's about exposure and what they've been exposed to. I think
True.
Like we parent different. You know what I'm saying? We our lives are different than I think we grew up with. You know what I'm saying? Even like the friends our children have are like their friends from birth, and those children aren't exposed to much either. So
Okay.
it would be like, as far as I'm concerned, like I was exposed to like girls showing me their private parts underneath the table in first grade. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
It's different when you go to a public school in Baltimore versus, like homeschooling in a co-op. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the children don't even have that type of freedom, I mean, not saying that stuff doesn't happen, because I'm sure it does. But yeah, I don't think we're there yet. And also we're also not like worried about it either. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, man, like it's just sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some people are addicted to sex, and it's just food. And some people are addicted to food, and it's just anger. And some people have problems controlling themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hopefully we can teach our children to have self-control and understand that certain things are meant for certain things. And once you take those things and make them something different, gods, idols, then you're going to have problems. And that's with anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think you made a good point. The environment kids are raised in has a huge impact on them as people in the future and currently. So yeah, I think that's awesome that you guys are mindful and do supervise your children, because that's when things start to go awry when they're not supervised. So yeah, that's a good point to point out as well. So just to kind of shift a little bit into more conversation about marriage, can you tell us a funny story or like a funny marriage moment that you guys may have had recently?
Uh,
Our life is a comedy.
yeah, I think all of the moments, to me, honestly, all the moments, like recently I was doing Yvette's hair.
Oh.
I was twisting her hair.
Were you?
Her dreads. Yeah, her locks. So I used to twist my own. I used to have long hair too. Locks.
You locked up?
Mm-hmm. I locked up. When I noticed I was going bald, I was like, all right, it's now enough. So, yeah, so I was twisting her hair and she just kept, remember?
No.
You just kept telling me, like, it doesn't feel like you're parting it. It doesn't feel like you're twisting it tight enough. This isn't here. This isn't. I'm just kind of like, man, like, let me do this. And it actually came out really nice, I think. You know, I definitely could have, I could have used more clips and got it straighter. You know what I mean? But next time I'm 100% down. And I've been wanting to do that for her for years, but she never wanted to lock up. And now that she's locking up now, because I think she's almost there, but it's been cool to do that at least once. I'll do that again.
Really cool. As you can see, I am a part of the family, so that's really cool. I have questions, but I'm going to focus on why we're here. But good stuff. Do you have any funny stories from Glenn, Yvette?
So for my birthday, we got a couples massage. And I wish I could show the video. But you know, I don't know if you got a massage before, but I was like, okay, yes, we want to be in the same room. So we go in the room and Glenn's like, well, how much of my clothes do I have to take off?
I was so uncomfortable.
He's taking off his clothes. And I was like, well, yeah, I was like, you have to take off everything except your underwear. And he's like, no, I'm keeping my socks on.
That's such a black man thing to do. Why your socks?
I feel secure with my socks on, man. Once my feet is uncovered, man, you can grab a toe, break it. Anything can happen. That's my last little. I'd rather take my drawers off and keep my socks on, man. Don't touch my feet.
Oh my gosh.
No, but look.
No, but I'm not even done. So he's like, did you keep your socks on or did you take them off?
I kept my socks on.
He kept his socks on. And so then it's time for him to get onto the thing where they do the massage. And this fool lays on the table on his back and pulls the sheets. Like this. And he's looking straight up at the sky, and I'm like, well, your head's supposed to go in that little circle thing. You're supposed to turn your body over.
Yeah, I did not.
Oh
like
my gosh, it was the most hilarious experience. And then his narration of it all afterwards was even better. Like he was telling me what he was thinking as the massage was happening. That was the
Well, that's how I know I got issues, because when they asked, like, they were like, hey, do you mind if it's a man or a woman? And I was like, okay, I don't want to be homophobic, right? So I'm like, look,
right, I
don't mind whoever. I said whoever, it doesn't matter, right? Because Pride Month, like, I'm like, hey, man, we out here, like, whatever. It's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then, like, when I go in there, I start to, like, have these thoughts, like, what if while he's doing my hands, he, like, interlocks them? Like, I started to freak out. Like, I was like, why would he do that? I just overthought it. I hated it.
Oh my God.
Wait, so did you end up having a man?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was very strong.
Oh. Wow, good for you. Good for you. That's awesome.
You go good on massages, though. That's my jam. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'll take a Theragun or like slam my back up against the wall or something like that, and I'm good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So after all that, what do you guys feel like almost 12 years of marriage have taught you guys about each other, about yourselves, or about marriage as well? So you can kind of break those down as you'd like.
Mm.
I'll go first.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my response. I'm sorry.
You're fine. It's a loaded question.
I know. I feel like I've learned quite a bit. Um, I think, like, for me, and I feel like we've said this so many different times in the way we share our lives, but I think for me is like it's important to choose well so that the work is worth it. Because I do believe that we chose well. And even in the moments or years or months where we felt like, oh, we're not going to make it, like this isn't going to last, that we both have enough of a work ethic in order to make it last with God. Because
Amen.
it ain't nothing but the Lord that has saved us from our humanity, I think, in this relationship. But I think the it's just choosing well and being willing to put in the necessary work in order to love well. I don't know if that's a lesson learned, but I feel like that is like my biggest thing. Is like I'm proud of me, I'm proud of us for choosing well and for having what it takes to spend the rest of our lives together. Because I really
That's
don't.
awesome.
I mean, even in the moments where it's like, oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah. Someone's like, what is wrong with you?
I cannot.
Why? You like this?
He'll know that I'm going to be with him.
Yeah,
like,
but it's kind of like, you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense. Why would you? Yeah, it's a lot of, it's difference. It's a lot of difference, right? Like between us, right? And just people in general. But like, I want to echo what Yvette said about choosing well, but also knowing that there's just a progression of a person that what she used to like and enjoy is not what she likes now. And who he used to be may not be who he is. I told Yvette, I was like, hey, it's coming. I'm going to have to become someone different. And I just want to let you know in about a year, I can't do this thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? And she still was like, well, I'm surprised when it happens. I warned you. So I think that's one of the things where it's like, who you start with is not who you end up with. The person is always changing. I learned about myself. I learned that like, she's kind of she's the only one, right? I don't think it could have been anyone else, right? Who violates me the way she does. And I do nothing about it. Like, I just literally, like, man, if this was years ago, like, I would be in jail right now. But right now, I do nothing. So, and with Yvette, man, like, I didn't know how hard working she was in, like, the marriage, right? So, like, there's certain points where you think, like, okay, I know she's a good, like, employee, like, crazy talent. I know she's a good student. She learns really fast. I know she's going to be a good mom, right? But the way she's progressed as a wife is just blowing my mind because she's just not done. You know what I'm saying? And even whenever I get to tell her the truth, right? And I tell her, hey, like, this is what I'm thinking, and this is where I think you could grow. After she feels offended, right? She's like, all right.
Offense.
Yeah, she's like, all right, cool. I got you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll analyze and read and figure this out. Which I'm always kind of like, no, you're not. And then she always does.
That's really nice to hear, babe.
Yeah, man. You do a good job.
Yes, I love that. So I don't know if this is even a question that you guys can answer, but how do people choose well?
I know how they don't. That's all I can say. I feel like it's easier for me to be like, you're not choosing well. Actually, no, I can tell you when you're choosing well too. I don't know, man. I don't know if I have like a blanket answer for everyone.
Yeah.
I do feel like I do feel like being aligned in faith is very important. However, I'm sure there are people out there who have made it work. I just don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah,
but
and
I don't know.
Go ahead.
You want to say something? I was just going to say it
I
seems
was
like the main thing that people need. The thing that people need is to be a hard worker, to be someone who's steadfast and perseverant. Like, I don't even know if that last one is a word, but tries to persevere. Like, is the kind of person that'll keep working.
I have a few things that I think. You want to say something?
I was going to say something else too. Is that I think it's valuable to see someone who's willing to put in the work on themselves and grow. So, like, it's kind of like what Glenn has already mentioned, is that, like, who you meet is not who you're going to be married to, because there is growth happening, there is development happening, there's a process. We're all a work in progress, you know? And so I feel like if the person you are with is understanding of that, and they are open to growth and change and working on their baggage, you know, then I feel like there's definitely a lot more room. I don't know if I saw that in Glenn when we got married.
That I wasn't working on myself?
Yeah. I mean, I saw you as a man of God. Like, your faith was probably the most attractive to me. And so I think in that, I knew, like, he had his hands all over you and who you were becoming.
Yeah. So I would say I got a rebuttal there, because I was in, like, remember the financial class I was taking?
Oh, yeah. You were doing...
I was doing like personal development stuff.
Yes, you were.
But I think there's a few things, right? Someone who can submit to anything. Right? Who has leadership outside of a job that isn't monetarily, right? You're not always gaining money from it. No, I'm submitted to this cause.
That's good.
I'm submitted to this team. I'm active in the community in some way. I was a high school, leader. You were a leader in your church group that you were, like, teaching Sunday school. We both tithed. That was really important. I was working. I was, like, barely working when we got together. I was, like, doing I was tutoring some kids. It was, like, making $500 a month, and your boy was struggling. But then, I got a new job, flipped it. She let me borrow her car to drive to work sometimes when she wasn't using it, and then when she wasn't, I was biking to work, and it was like 60 miles. Like, I had to bike to a train station and take the train.
Like honey sandwiches or something.
Peanut butter and honey.
Kept a loaf of bread, peanut butter, and honey
in the trunk of my car.
Trunk of his car.
But, like, it wasn't like I was lazy, right? So this is why I always say this, and Yvette hates it.
Wait, what?
Right? Yvette, when I saw Yvette, I saw someone who didn't have a lot of, like I always say, she's sturdy. Like, she had both her feet planted on the ground. She knew where she wanted to go, and she looked like she could endure, right? And I wasn't necessarily saying that I wanted to put stress on her, but I know that life just does that, right? And so I know for me that, like, I'm going to be sturdy, but I'm going to be sturdy because I have the homies I had the mentorship I had the community I was submitted to, right? I saw Yvette also sturdy in that same way, where she had a really good foundational village that just showed that she was submitted to something other than just school or work or whatever, And I think that is something to be said. I think there's a lot of ways to choose well, but I don't always think it looks the same for everybody. You have to make sure you know who is going to be the hard worker and who's going to put in, like, that extra amount of time and effort. And one of the things she could have been concerned with me is that I didn't have a really good relationship with family dynamics, right? And Yvette, I think, she was all about, like, becoming a mom. She didn't care nothing about being a wife. You know what I mean? I would say. Is this accurate?
I looked forward to becoming a mom. I wouldn't say I did not look forward to becoming a wife. I was looking forward to it all.
That's incorrect. You just said I look forward to becoming a mom.
I looked forward to becoming a mom, and I looked forward to becoming a wife.
Right. But you look forward to becoming a wife so you can be a mom. Right?
I don't know.
First date we went out. I go, okay, so if your husband was about to drown or whatever, and your kid was about to drown, who would you save? My kid. My husband already lived. I was like, dang, like that was bad. Like,
well, what kind of question is that?
It's a date first date question. It's a really good question. See where our priority is.
Do not ask that question. That's hard.
It is a stupid question without social media. Because if it was social media and you said that on Twitter, I would have roasted, canceled.
Like if I was, I don't even want to go there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's really good, and you guys said some really good stuff, and I think the way you guys said it is very nonchalant, but like they are saying very wise things. So if you guys want to like listen to this back again, that'd be a good idea because this is important, and you guys would know more than single people and people who just started dating or people who are in their first year. So I know you guys talked briefly about like hard times. How do you feel like you guys got out of them, or how do you?
I think we just kind of taking an inventory of what we do have. I mean, I don't even know. I think hard times feel like a blur almost. Oh, you're talking about like hard times in marriage? Like,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Counseling, a lot of therapy, a lot of space. You know, sometimes she need to get away. Yeah.
Why is it just I need to get away? You're the one that really needs the space.
I do need the space, but do I get the space? I don't get the space. But not because of you, but because of what's demanded of me. It's my issues. I'm not saying it's you. Not taking things personal. That helps. No, real talk. Like I am better at enduring certain situations. So if we're not doing well, I'm gonna be able to. I might not talk, but I can endure. Yvette's gonna have a harder time enduring.
I think for me, like the way that I even like kind of get through those moments is when I have conversations with myself and I'm like, oh, he loves me. Like he really does love me. This is something that we have to work through right now, sure. But I know his heart for me and his heart for our family. You know what I mean? And so like, I feel like just kind of holding on to those truths that I do know and breaking any agreements that I might have with a lie helps me to push through and even press in because he is someone who is so like, you know,
distant.
Sometimes I'm going to have to be the one that like, you know, presses in before he does.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for me to get past because I remember everything. Mm-hmm. So if she says something in an argument, like I'm just like, I remember everything. And I'm kind of like, that didn't make any sense. And even if she didn't mean it, I take it as truth. And I'm kind of like, yeah, tuck that right here. And then I'll try to protect. Because I literally sometimes like I'm trying to do well for the family and myself. But also sometimes I feel like I have to protect myself, you know, from the relationship sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting. Even at this point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because sometimes, right, she doesn't know my intentions. You know what I'm saying? Mm. Like all the time. Like, and it's like I still have to build trust with her in this season. You know, like even now we have a full studio or a space. Like, I'm sure like at some point she was kind of like, well, where's my space going to be? You know what I'm saying? Or I don't know what kind of thoughts he may have, but there's certain places and things that she may have to like, I have to earn trust there. Because we're in a different season.
I think what you guys, I think what you guys are teaching us is like, just because it's been 12 years, life is not like peachy keen, you know? It's not like you hit year 7 and we're just like up and up, you know? You're always like, life is still life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And different seasons bring new challenges.
Yeah, and some people may be fine, but I don't know if a lot of people who are fine also are growing like we are growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm saying like, since the beginning, we have changed careers like few times. You know what I mean? We've had 4 children, right? We have different relationships with family, extended family. We think about boundaries differently. We've had to learn things about each other and the other relationships that we're around. That's kind of like, oh yeah, we actually aren't going there. We're not doing that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of that.
Yeah.
And some people, those with other
think,
relationships still reign over their actual marriage.
Say that again?
Some people's, those other relationships still like have precedence over their marriage.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that I was just reading, I don't know if it was Romans or something like that. Basically, we're talking about the vine, how we abide in the vine, and like He prunes us. So like our lives, you think as Christians our life should be way easier. That's how people think, but it may be harder, because like we have like a way higher standard, and your marriage is held to a way higher standard than someone else who isn't in Christ. And like the Lord is working on us, and it says that, He just throws away the ones that are not producing fruit. So life is easy when you're not producing fruit. I feel like, you just do whatever you want to do. But when you're striving and you have to persevere and be steadfast in a relationship with someone that you have made a covenant with under Christ, I feel like it's going to be harder at times. Like it may not always be hard, but it's going to be harder.
100%.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys being vulnerable and honest. So how do you guys feel like, because I know you're saying that some people put other relationships above their relationships. So how do you guys feel like your friendships and like community has lent to the success of your marriage?
How do we feel like what?
Friendships and community have helped our marriage?
Lent to the success of your marriage, yeah.
Accountability?
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. We have good friends. I mean, I speak for my guys. They're, pretty great. And they're all helpful. Like, sometimes they'll watch our kids, allow us to get away. We've had our friends come through and clean our entire house when we, went like to a YouTube. They just care, and they give us just a little bit of that bandwidth to breathe. We have a really good friendship group and community. And also they also like respect the boundaries, I feel.
Yeah, that's good. Did you want to add anything, Yvette?
No, I align with that message.
Good stuff. What he said. Cool. So is there anything else that you guys feel like would help people who are in like year 1, year 3, year 5, year 10 that you think people need to hear, like any advice you have for people in marriage or even singleness?
I feel like the one thing like in marriage that we have to remember is that at the end of the day, when the kids are gone and your friends have moved on and your family's gone, it's just you and your spouse, And so making that relationship a priority and putting in the work necessary to like get to know them, to enjoy them, to like just be present with them is the most important because y'all gonna be left together. We gonna be left together. And I want to look at him at the end of it all, at the end of our season of, I don't think there's an end to parenting, but when the kids eventually are on their own outside of our house, I don't want him to be a stranger in my home. I want him to be my buddy, my road dog. I want us to enjoy each other and be proud of the people that we've become. So
it's good.
Yeah, and I also think, there's no competition with each other or friends, right? So like the people that are, you do life with or whatever, it's not that you're trying to make sure that your marriage is doing better than theirs or da 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 da. And also your spouse is not your competition. Like you guys are all a team. You know what I'm saying? And so if one of my friends, fails and falls in some sort of way, like it hurts. You know what I mean? And the world can cancel him, but because he's my friend, I can't. Right. And so there's certain relationships that you ultimately should stand with, especially if you guys are like in the same wedding party and stuff like that. Like that's a covenant before God with you in your wedding party too. You know what I'm saying? So also like, so you're not in competition with your spouse. There's been seasons where I think, we've definitely had like to remind ourselves that, look, I'm not against you. I'm on your team. We just have a disagreement on how fast we get there or what we do when we get there, but we're still trying to go to the same place. We just have a timeline issue. You know what I mean? And just reminding each other of that is going to be important.
Yeah, that's really good. So it seems like, Yvette, what you're saying is you'd save Glenn if it was between you and your kids in the water, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to die.
But awesome. So can you tell the audience if there's any like upcoming events or series that the people need to know about?
How Married Are You comes back August 4th.
Yeah, this is our first time actually sitting down and doing anything in the podcast form. That's why she keeps yawning, because she
I missed it. See,
she ain't got the podcast ones yet. So we back at it. We're actually, it's our first time doing it, and we're excited to bring it back. We got everything ready to go, so we're excited to start.
So excited!
Oh, and follow us on Instagram. How Married Are You on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be important to do it there because we actually have a new series called How Married Are You Reacts that's coming out. It's actually pretty cool. It's us reacting to parts of Beleaf in Fatherhood and How Married Are You. It's really dope.
Yes, that's been funny. You guys should also join their Patreon as well, because that's how I know that.
Yes.
So is there anything else you guys want to shout out? Like any other handles you guys have? Instagram, anything else?
If you sign up for Yvette's email, her email blasts have been really encouraging, really dope.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it.
Yvette Henry.
No. The
Yvette Unplugged.
No, the self-care thing.
Huh? Oh, honor self
beauty, right? So she's just trying to do a better job honoring herself and her lot journey. We have a lot of content coming out, working on new merch. All that stuff is coming. So cool. It's gonna be good.
Good stuff. All right, guys. So as you guys know, you can follow the Parallel at the Parallel Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Oh man, I saw what happened to your TikTok. Did you guys get that back?
Yep, it's back up and running.
Yay! Awesome. Yeah. Good. So yes, that's where you can follow the Parallel. Thanks again for coming on, you guys. And as you guys know, remember to speak the truth in love and kiss the sun. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.